All right, welcome. Today we are creating the ultimate map to help you navigate the trickiest parts of your real estate leasing exam. Think of this as our strategy session, turning those confusing questions into easy points for your final score. You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a question that's just jammed with legal jargon, confusing forms, and these tiny little wording traps, and you just think to yourself, are they trying to trick me? Well, let me let you in on a little secret. Yeah, they kind of are. And it's designed to be frustrating. But here's the thing. It doesn't mean you're weak on the topic. Not at all. It just means you need the right map. You've already put in the hard work. This explainer, this is that map. It's designed to take you right from confusion to total confidence and straight to the correct answers. And here's what our map looks like. We're going to follow the exact path of a real transaction through 5 key stages: the paper trail, the financials, the offer, the people and rules, and of course, the all-important fine print. So let's start our journey at stage 1. First stop on our map, the paper trail. This is all about due diligence. You know, that deep dive a buyer has to take when they're looking at a multi-unit property. It's all about getting your hands on the right documents to find out the real story behind the numbers. So what's in that due diligence toolkit? Well, you're looking for the essentials: the rent roll, income and expense statements, copies of the leases, or at least summaries, any service contracts, and of course, tax and utility bills. This is your first real peek into the property's financial health. Okay, and right away, here's our first exam trap. You might get a question asking what's not a typical document to request, and one of the options will be a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. But here's the trick. In the real world, NDAs are super common. Sellers need to protect sensitive tenant and financial info, so asking a buyer to sign one is totally standard. Don't let that one fool you. So we've got the documents from the paper trail. Now it's time to actually make sense of them. Welcome to stage 2, cracking the financial code. And listen up, there is one formula here that I can almost guarantee is going to be on your exam: effective gross income. So what exactly is EGI? Let's keep it simple. It's the income a property actually pulls in. You start with the absolute maximum rent you could possibly get, your best case scenario, and then you subtract the realistic losses from empty units or tenants who don't pay. Just think of it as potential income minus a dose of reality. And the calculation is a really simple 3-step process. Step 1, find your gross potential income, or GPI. That's the total possible rent for a whole year. Step 2, figure out your loss from vacancies and non-payment. And step 3, just subtract that loss from your GPI. Boom, that's your EGI. Let's run through a quick example. So imagine a building could bring in $12,300 a month. You multiply that by 12, and your gross potential income is $147,600. Now let's say the exam question tells you there's a 5% vacancy loss. Well, that's $7,380. You subtract that loss, and there's your EGI, $140,220. I love this quote because it just perfectly explains the idea. If you need a way to make it stick in your head, just remember this. Vacancy is the tax reality charges you for optimism. You always have to account for reality. Okay, now we're at map point 3, mastering the offer mechanics. This is the art of the deal, right? And it's a place where the legal rules can really trip you up, especially when a property already has tenants. Here is the one core rule you absolutely cannot forget. A counteroffer is not just a little change. Legally speaking, it is a complete and total rejection of the original offer and the creation of a brand new one. That difference means everything on the exam. So for example, say a buyer offers $900,000 and has a condition that the property has to be vacant. The seller comes back with a counter at $920,000, but, and this is the critical part, they remove that vacant possession clause. This is not just a price bump, it's a totally new deal. The original offer, it's gone, it's dead. And that whole counteroffer scenario brings us perfectly to stage 4 on our map, the human element. This section is all about the rules that manage the complicated relationships between landlords, tenants, and yeah, even condo boards. Okay, first let's lock down these terms because exam questions love to swap them to confuse you. The lessor, that's the landlord. The easy way to remember it, the lessor is the one who lets you use the property. Then there's the lessee, that's the tenant. They live in the property. So lessor lets, lessee lives. Simple as that. Time for another trap alert. An exam question might suggest that a tenant can just go ahead and assign their lease to a new person. That is absolutely false.
Lease assignment always requires the landlord's consent. It is never, ever an automatic right for the tenant.
Now, things get even more interesting inside a condo, where those lines of responsibility can get a little blurry. Just remember these three simple rules. The owner is the one who gets to vote at condo meetings. The tenant's main job is to follow the condo's rules, and the landlord is always the tenant's primary contact for any lease issues. And finally, let's talk signatures. The rule for witnessing a signature is so simple. You have to physically see the person sign the document. The only exception is for verified electronic signatures. And to make sure that rule sticks, just remember this little saying: a witness who didn't watch is just a pen with dreams.
You are doing great navigating this map. Before we get to our last stop, let's do a quick pop quiz to make sure these key ideas are really locked in. You ready?
First question. In a condo, who gets the right to vote at meetings? Is it the tenant or the owner? The answer is B, the owner. The tenant lives there, but the owner holds the voting power. Okay, next up, assigning a lease. Can it be done without the landlord's consent, or does it require consent? Yes, it absolutely does. The answer is B. Remember that trap alert: assignment always needs the landlord's okay. And that brings us to our final destination: decoding the fine print. Now, this might just be the single most important skill for passing your exam, because so often the entire answer hangs on one single critical word. This slide right here, this is your master key. You need to look for absolute words like must, always, or cannot. These are huge red flags. They're usually part of the wrong answer, because real estate law is just filled with exceptions. The safer and usually correct answers use more flexible words like can, may, or typically. Spotting these words is like having a superpower on exam day. So there you have it. That's your complete map for the toughest parts of the leasing exam. You know the route, you know the landmarks, and now you know exactly how to spot the traps. So the only question left is, which one are you going to spot first? Now go ace that exam.